I think you're on mute.
Tesla has finally released its much-anticipated Model 3 tow package. Featuring a removable 2-inch hitch, the tow package, which costs $1,970, is available to fit all non-performance Model 3s. Performance Model 3s are unfortunately excluded due to insufficient ground clearance. Tesla's much-anticipated refreshed Model Ys are finally on their way to Western Australia after departing Shanghai early this morning. They are due to arrive in Fremantle Port aboard the Iris Ace on the 5th of May. There is, however, no chance that any of these cars will be able to be licensed and delivered before the 10 May deadline for applications to be submitted to the WA government in order to receive a $3,500 EV rebate. Indeed, it was, and obviously exciting times for the refreshed Model Y, which we will talk about as soon as we've done intros. So, if there is anyone who is new and is comfortable in doing so, please do unmute and say hello. Or perhaps a little bit later in the program. All right, so just to reiterate, yes, Model Ys left Shanghai this morning at 1:30 a.m. and they are on a ship to Thailand. Then they're going to be transshipped out of Thailand to another ship and into Fremantle. And we all know that the deadline for putting in applications for the WA EV rebate is midnight, the 10th of May. And we also know that there will be no cars whatsoever that will be able to be licensed and or delivered that qualify, and the only ones that qualify for Model Ys were the standard range launch edition Ys on the ship. Oh, sorry, and there's also obviously a lot of Model 3s that well, they won't make it as well. Please, if you're like me and woke up this morning and I think the text went off. No, maybe it was 10 to 8. Sorry, 8, 2 minutes to 8. I think it was maybe when the text came out, or maybe earlier. Please don't ring Tesla and say, "Hey, can I have my car before because I want to get the rebate?" It's literally physically impossible. What Tesla actually have to do, because they license the car themselves, as opposed to getting a third party to do it, is each and every individual car has to be directly cited, and it has to undergo at least some basic checks, such as there's no damage, so it's actually able to be licensed and doesn't need remedial work. And there just aren't the resources. And the other thing too is the expected delivery at 8:30 on the 5th of May is just an estimate, and shipping can get delayed because of weather. And just because it arrives in Fremantle doesn't mean it actually magically appears at the delivery centre. It has to be unloaded, and that is a process that takes time. In fact, if you looked at I'll just bring up this website. Um, so this one right here, and I'll just get set up. So if you notice that the ship does arrive at 8:23 a.m., it's due, sorry, at the moment on the 5th of May, it actually doesn't leave until the 10th of May. So they've actually allocating nearly 5 days to do unloading. So it doesn't even mean that that the cars will even be unloaded until the 6th or 7th or 8th or 9th of May. So like I said, please, if you've got the notification, if you do have a standard range launch edition on that ship, please don't bug Tesla about it. They acutely are aware of the issue and the missed opportunity, but this is something that would not have happened unless this ship had basically arrived, now, and it's not arrived now. So it is what it is. Anyway, having said all of that, and I think Rob Dean actually put a note in Facebook that said, well, he hopes that the 400 and not sorry $392,000 that the state government is going to save in not putting in the rebates for those cars, hopefully it might spend that money on some repairs and maintenance of the WAV network. And actually, to that end, that just got me some more news that I should have put in, although it's sad that it's actually news, is that the Halls Creek fast DC charger has finally been fixed a couple of days ago. And as of this morning, a small issue it had with putting out insufficient power has been resolved as well. So it's now at full power. It is a unit that's been totally replaced, and the screen has been removed and blanked out with a sheet of metal. So
Good.
there's nothing attractive for vandals to vandalize, at least nothing that glows in the dark. So hopefully that will be the end of issues at Halls Creek. Alrighty, has anyone got any opening questions or comments? Anyone?
Just quickly, Harold, how many days was that for Halls Creek? That would have been up to, what, 8 months, something like that?
I'm going to ask James Maitland because he's an awesome producer. James, can you please look up on PlugShare what the date it was first reported as broken, and then just do a Google thingo of how many days or months from that date till 2 days ago. And we'll get right back to you, Pete. And Huffies, you had your hand up.
Maybe 8, 9 months.
Mm.
Yeah, it's about as
Uh,
long as it takes for a baby to be gestated full term. But James will get this to us in a sec. Sorry, Huffies, you had your
I
hand.
was gonna ask if you're delaying your trip to take the new car.
Oh, no. As much as I'd like to talk about me and then ask, well, what do you think about me? No, I am leaving on the day after the election, the 4th of May, in my current Model Y on its 7th lap. And then I'll be returning, via Melbourne and Adelaide by about the 20th of May, and then hopefully getting my Juniper very soon afterwards. I'll probably try and book it for about the Wednesday, the 20th of May, and then within a couple of days, oh, you know the drill. Within a couple of days, I'll take that on its first lap because Juniper hasn't been on one yet. So no, I'm not going to delay. I can't delay the current one because I got to pick up my wife from Tullamarine Airport on the 12th of May. So that's a date that I can't miss. And
All
and
right.
the Juniper won't come in time. And even if it came like remarkably early, I wouldn't have time to do a lap or get to Melbourne in time. So no, it'll just be a back to back, unfortunately. Um, anyway, oh sorry, now someone, I think Wayne, you had your hand up.
Oh yeah, maybe I was scratching my head. Maybe I didn't mean that intentionally. But I do have a question though. If you not very
Yes, yeah,
exciting
yeah, no,
one,
absolutely.
not very exciting one, but I'm just wondering now summer's over. Can someone recommend a window tinting business for Model 3? I guess it doesn't really matter which model, but someone in Perth who can do a good window tinting job.
Can I recommend against tinting your roof? And
Oh yeah, no, I was going to avoid that. Yeah. And
uh,
I was going to sort of get into the do the back windscreen or not sort of question as well, but the obvious ones are the door windows. I think the
Mm.
driver window also has restrictions on how dark you can go, and
Yeah.
getting that balance is probably a sort of a nuance as well,
Yeah.
or personal preference. But
Yeah.
yeah, all those sort of details. It's a good one, Pete.
Just
There's a
a
company that you know of.
Tintica.
Just, can I
Just
jump
a
in?
Oh,
just a
Yes,
Tintica.
sorry, yep,
Oh,
sorry,
sorry. Yeah.
yep, Paul, yeah, Paul goes to his car, and sorry,
I
someone
was.
said can jump
Yeah.
in. I didn't
Heidi.
see. Oh, yes, Heidi, yes, sorry, yeah, go, Heidi.
Okay, so I had mine done. I think it was 660 to tint the windows at
okay.
Tintercar in Mordy, and they were
Wow.
very good. They did it within 2 hours, quick and easy, no
Good one.
problems.
Oh, great.
The other one I'd recommend is I just use the one the RAC recommend because if you're an RAC member, you get a large discount, and they're
All right.
near Hexter Street, just near the freeway exit.
Okay.
What are they called,
No,
Mike?
mine's
Those
a 22.3, but it's essentially no different window to
that,
Yeah.
window.
that's
And
total tint.
I forgot what their name is. Is it Total Tint? Is it?
Total tint is RAC.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Okay.
we did our Model Y, and I rang those guys first, but then they wanted to effectively upsell us, and I was like, we don't need that. So, because they wanted to do a whole bunch of stuff, where Tintercar, which I did with my Model 3, I just got the front ones done and the glare strip, and that was, like 300 and something dollars for the
Yeah. That was,
ceramic
I
coated
didn't
one.
have that experience.
Yeah.
In fact, I mean,
What's
they actually were quite keen. They said, we got a lot of people trying to do the roofs, but we don't do roofs.
Yes.
So they were good about that. And like you, I had the glare strip thing
Yeah.
on the front done.
Yeah,
So
it's good.
I actually got the back part of the roof, the back window. I know it's part of the roof, but just that little back part done as well.
What's the
Yeah.
consensus on the roof and the rear windscreen?
Don't do
Don't
it.
do the roof. You may
Don't do it.
overheat it, and
Yeah.
it's no real benefit.
Yeah.
The fact is that
You're not covered
actually
under warranty either.
an all tint is actually it's on the wrong. It actually is on the wrong side of the glass. It's on the
Right,
inside
yes.
where the
Yes.
heat has already penetrated. The tint has then blocked it, and whether it's blocked it by reflecting it back into that dark roof anyway, which then gets reabsorbed, it's
Right.
really doing very little. And the fact is, as you're driving along, the roof doesn't really get that hot. It basically returns to the ambient temperature of the air that's passing over it once you're in motion. Obviously, when you're parked, it gets red hot, but
Yeah.
they'll all get red hot.
Yeah.
If you're really concerned, you can then just put in aftermarket sunshades
Yeah.
that
That's what I recommend.
are either basic, as in hand operated sort of manual ones, all the way up to Hollywood motorized ones. That Pete, how much do the Hollywood ones cost?
Oh,
Roughly.
For Tesla shares?
now, they're about $1,200 now, or even less. But yeah, they're a lot more expensive when I got them done. But yeah, they're quite reasonable. The company that seems to sell most of them, they have two generations. The difference with the second generation, it has a much lower profile. The first generation, the profile is quite chunky, and if there's an adult sitting on the back seats, it does start to
Oh,
impede
yeah.
headspace a little bit.
I
But
probably won't do that. It's not for me, but yeah, just definitely do the minimal amount.
in terms of the thing, when I had mine done and I had my roof done as well, and I was aware of the potential problems with the roof cracking, etc. So
Right.
Tintercar did my roof, and they before that they've done a lot of X's and S's, and they were aware of exactly what I was saying.
Mm.
But I was still and ahhing about doing the roof, and they sold me on it by taking a heat lamp and putting a bit of just ordinary glass in front of it, and then I had my hand on the other side and the tinted glass, and there was a night and day difference. So the see-through glass, my hand was hot. The tinted glass, I couldn't feel any heat. But I don't know.
Right.
I don't know whether that was a trick or how they did it, but once it was on the car, it made zero difference.
It's a total trick, Pete, because all it showed was if you have all this radiation coming in your direction,
Oh, right.
you won't get it directly, but it's all literally absorbed by the glass, or by the tint, unless it was literally mirror tint. But again, it has to be on the outside, not on the inside, because then the glass just gets red hot. But
So
yeah.
to give you an idea, my black Model 3 with black seats with the tinting versus the white Model 3 or Model Y with white seats
Yeah.
it's a very noticeable difference in terms of the white being much cooler. So the actual outside colour and the colour of the seats make a much bigger difference than any tinting on the screen. But if you already got a car, then the shade, the shade that the roof shade or ceiling shade that Tesla sells is pretty much useless. it makes no difference. But yeah, if you get one that is completely opaque and it sits maybe half an inch below, so it's got that thermal gap in there below us, that seems to work.
Oh, that's great.
The other
Thanks.
thing to watch out for, and I don't know whether the other guys have got this. I reverse into my garage all the time, and because I've got the 22.3, it's got the wooden dash thing, the strip. And what I've noticed, and I can't remember because I only had it for a couple of weeks, but if the sun is shining from relatively overhead, which is us in the middle of the day, that wooden strip reflects onto the wing mirror, and I can't see behind.
You've got to lower your window. You've got to lower your driver's
that's
side
right.
window.
We discussed before, and you've got to lower your window.
Yeah.
I did check out a new Model 3, and it wasn't as bad. So I think the tinting does add to that reflection a bit from the inside.
Right.
But just something to think about whether you have your sides done.
Okay.
Having the rear done, I can't say I notice. I had it on my previous Mazda 6, and I found at night reversing, looking in the mirror was a bit dark.
Right.
Even though I was born on a darker and warmer planet. With the 3, I don't find that at all. And I'm not talking about the cameras. I mean, looking through the mirror.
All right.
I don't find it. But I didn't ask for particular dark. I didn't ask. I just said, whatever the darkest legal you can put on is, just stick that on.
Yeah.
And leave it at that. That's, as I say, they were fine there. What did you call it again, Paul? What were they called? Total tint?
Total tint.
Total tint, yeah.
Yeah.
And they just book them in. They had a bit of a waiting time, about 2 weeks, I think, when I did mine, because they're busy.
Very good. Alrighty.
I'll squeeze in another one, Harold. Was it?
Yeah, go on. Go on, Wayne.
Thank you. Is it a known issue about the windscreen wiper randomly coming on when there's no rain?
Yes.
And maybe not also being responsive when it does rain, and it's set in automatic mode, but sometimes it might be a slight delay. But I think the activation during a dry atmosphere, that's sort of daily at the moment.
Yes.
3 or 4 times.
You've got to look at things. Sometimes it can be. Unfortunately, it's at Tesla's insistence. Actually, it's at Elon Musk's insistence. The mechanism by which it detects raindrops isn't a little infrared sensor that almost every other car uses. It just uses 1 or 2 of the front-facing cameras, and optically detects raindrops. The one wrinkle in that is that the raindrops are by definition out of focus because they are millimeters from the camera, whereas what the camera is looking at mainly is dozens of meters or hundreds of meters forward, so it's not focused for the for rain. In fact, one great way when you do see rain, or whenever you go through some rain, is just hit your dash cam to record a small clip, and you can then actually view it when it's pouring down in rain. You can actually see what it sees, and they're very blurry drops, but they're not. They are there, and that's what the car uses to detect rain and to trigger the wipers. The problem is there are a lot of naturally occurring things, such as dappled light or other things that can cause it to falsely trip. You can turn off automatic wipers, but at the insistence of the software, when you use autopilot, it gets re-enabled. And the only way you can suppress that, which is not endorsed by Tesla, is to use something like the Sexy Buttons Commander, and one of its functions is it, at your option, can suppress automatic wipers automatically at all times. As soon as it detects that they've been enabled, then it will unenable them and disable them, and then you play this dance of every minute or so, or few minutes, that the car will re-enable it, and then the Sexy Button Commander will disable it. But it's very well known, unfortunately. It's just one of those things.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Honestly, I don't find it that bad as long as you keep the glass in front of the cameras really clean
Yeah.
Mm.
and don't
Yes.
put Rain-X on it.
Oh,
Right.
I put Rain-X all the time, and that's all I use. And I
Well, that's
don't
almost
use.
certainly why you need to use your 60 Commander to keep turning your auto wipers off, Harold, in my humble opinion.
It could be the fact that my windscreen is so old. Well, it's 2 years old, but it's done 175,000 Ks. It's so pitted that when you
Yeah.
look at it, it's just like looking through tracing paper. That's got all these little glints, these little facets, like tons of them.
Yeah.
But
If,
yeah,
if you're getting
anyway.
if you're getting as much as you're describing, make sure that little spot on the top of the windscreen is super clean
Clean,
because it
yeah.
makes all the difference.
Yep.
All
Right.
the difference.
I tend to sort of activate the wash so that you don't get the dry rubber and the glass sort of meeting and causing sort of problems with grit that might be on the windscreen. But then I thought in a moment of optimism that, maybe it's detected that the windscreen's quite hot and the rubber is starting to stick to it. And I thought, maybe it's smarter than I am, but
No, not
doesn't
in that
sound like
sense.
it.
No. Alrighty. Sorry, I didn't see whether Colin or Mike, which one went first. So if you can please just, yeah, go, Colin.
That's just quickly. I was just going to point out, Wayne, a couple of us in the chat also recommended another place for tinting is Dentless in Wangara.
Oh, what are they called?
Dentless. I put a link in there. They've got a Tesla specific tinting page that has all the prices and details.
Right, thank you.
They did my Model Y last year and was very happy with what they did. They can do a PPF cover for your screen if you want them to in the car. And
right.
they'll do the roof if you want them to. I didn't get them to do the roof.
Yeah,
But yeah, they did a great job. Good product. Good guys to deal with. Takes about
fantastic.
an hour and a half to do the side windows and the rear window of a Y.
Thanks, Colin. That's great.
Just with the PPF for your windscreen, just have a quick look at your insurance policy, because a lot of insurance policies give you one free windscreen a year for no excess. And you'd have to be pretty unlucky to have more than a repairable damage to your windscreen more than once a year.
So I meant the touch screen. They'll do a PPF cover for your touch screen if you want them to.
No, that's a different. Yeah, okay, that's a different kettle of fish. I know some of the places put PPF on the windscreen, so just weigh up the cost of that versus. I mean, a brand new windscreen, if you pay for it, is about $1,200, something like that, for a Model Y or a Model 3, depending on which connector it is. But most insurance companies, you'll get one free one a year. So.
Indeed. James got back to us in the chat, and it's 262 days that it took Halls Creek. A natural human gestation takes 280 days. So, in fact, I was 6 weeks early, so I reckon I would have beaten. It's taken longer than it took to make one of me. Maybe that's not a bad. Maybe that's a bad comparison, but anyway, too long is what it really was.
Yeah.
Alrighty. No worries, Colin. Now Mike and then Bandula.
So yeah, Harold, sorry to disagree with you here. Again, for Wayne's benefit, I have a 22 Model 3 long range. I have my wipers off all the time, and they do not come back on with autopilot or anything. They stay off all the time. The only time I've had them come on is with a software update.
So when you turn them off to manual,
so I have them off all the time. Remember it was rainy the other day. I actually had to tell the missus, "Here's where you go and turn it on again."
Look, that's great news. Maybe, okay, in that case,
but mine's an older vehicle, right? So maybe it's different on the newer vehicles. I don't know. I don't know, Wayne, whether you've got a newer vehicle or not.
Yeah, it's
Oh, Wayne, we've lost you on a bit of a glitch. Wayne's frozen. Okay, let's go to Bandula.
December Model 3, so it's a Highland.
He's just buffering. Okay, yeah, got you, Wayne. Look, just give it a try. Just go into the settings. The quickest way to get into the setting is actually to start the wiper with your stalk. and then just when you see it on the screen in the lower right-hand corner, just go to off, and then see if that sticks when you use autopilot. And if it does, let us know next week.
No. Yep.
All right.
Right. Thank you.
Bandula.
Thank you.
No worries.
Thanks, Harold. I have a few short questions. Can you please let me know what is the latest software version for Model 3?
Do you want me just to read it out?
Yeah, go, Paul.
So 25.2.8.1.
Yes.
Yep.
That's it.
That's the one.
Oh, 2025.2.8.1?
Correct.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. So next question, very short questions. Harold, please excuse. How do you get the charging info on the app?
In what
Do you mean your
sense?
stats? What do you?
Charge stats.
Yeah, charging
stats
on the app. Yeah.
Okay, so if you have a look at your, I'll just spotlight for everyone, you'll see charge stats just there. So you click, and it brings up. Oops, get some focus. Come on.
Yeah.
There we go. Focus.
How do you get to the charge stats, please?
Okay, so when you look at your car,
if it's not there, you've turned off data sharing in your car, so Harold, that charge stats will disappear from the app if you've disabled data sharing on the car. So in the privacy settings of your car, you need to turn it back on.
Okay, actually, it was off, but I switched it on, data sharing, but still I'm not getting it. But I will try it again and let you know next week.
You might have to actually do some charging sessions so it actually contributes to the stats, because it might be the policy that even though you put data sharing back on, it might only share data created as of when you did that rather than stored data, which it may or may not keep. So it might take a little bit of time before you do get some stats.
Okay. So the next question is, I have seen on your Facebook page, a lot of people, when they do like a multi-destination trip, they show it on a map. This is what we did. I want to know how to do it. I can't do it. I don't know how to do it.
So you mean when they actually show where they've been and the places they visited, and they
That's good. On a map.
I personally use Google Maps. I think you can do up to 9 waypoints. So you can say from Google Map, I want to go to Kununurra, and then you can say add a waypoint, and you can go Jurien Bay, you can go Geraldton, you can go da-da-da-da. You can do it up to 9 legs, I think, roughly 9. And then you just do a screenshot, and you can just do that.
But
other people...
not on the navigation app of Tesla, no?
Oh, yes. Oh, sorry. And you can do that too. Okay. Yes. Sorry. So what you can do is there's 2 methods. You can put in the final destination, then you can go in, and then while that's active, go and add, you click on the navigate button and you go and add a waypoint, and that adds a destination before the final destination.
Sure.
The other way you can do it is just go to your nearest place. So let's say you're going up north. So you go, I want to charge at Jurien Bay. So you go Jurien Bay, enter that as destination. You can then edit the route and then go add, I think it's called add something, and that adds it at the end.
Okay.
So you can either slot them in sort of before the end, or you can slot them after the interim end that you've just done. So there are multiple ways. Have a little fiddle. If you are looking at doing fast DC charging, the quickest way to find WA EV network sites, which is really annoying to me, but it's the quickest way of doing it, is just type in ChargeFox, even though ChargeFox has nothing to do with the WA EV network per se. They're just a billing provider. Put in ChargeFox, and then say Jurien Bay, you put JUR, and it's highly likely to autocomplete and go ChargeFox Jurien Bay, and you go navigate. So that way you actually get to the address of the charger, which on a road trip is more significant to you than the town, because towns aren't tiny and you need to know where to charge. But yeah, that's how you but have a fiddle in your car. You can either add them waypoints before your destination or after it incrementally if you edit. There's a couple of different ways of doing it.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thanks, sir.
Now, bear in mind, if you have like a long string of destinations, frustratingly, your car will always give you a warning that says charging required in order to reach destination, because it's looking at the final destination, which could be 1,000 k's away, and it says, I can't make it. And it's like, well, yeah, we know, because I'm telling you to go to all these different charging spots, but the car will just keep having that red warning that it can't make it to the end.
Make it, and then to put a charging destination.
Yes. Another trick you could do if you don't want to have to put up with that is just while you're, say, charging, which is a great time to do it because you're not doing anything else, unless you're doing something else useful, is when you're sitting in the car and you've got 3 destinations or 4 laid out in front of you, just navigate to one of them and then hit go and then go cancel, and then put in the next destination, hit go and then cancel, and then the third and subsequent destinations go and cancel, and they will stay in your recents list. So then what you do is from Jurien Bay, you then go in your recents and click on Geraldton, ChargeFox Geraldton, and then when you're there, you then click on ChargeFox Billabong or whatever. So that way you can you don't have to do it while you're driving or whatever.
Sure. Okay. Thank you very much for that. No worries.
And one more quick tip: if you do need to reorder your destinations, you'll notice there's a hamburger icon, so the 3 horizontal lines for each destination. So you can just hold on to that and click and drag to reorder the destination list if need be.
Sure. Okay. Thank you very much. Thanks. That's all. Thank you very much.
Now, one little point that's very important if you're navigating is please check where the car is taking you if you're navigating to a destination, because sometimes the cars can be a little bit supercharger centric. So you could have weird things happen, such as you're at Jurien Bay and you navigate to Northampton, and the car may, depending, send you backwards to Lancelin to charge. Now, and if you don't notice that because it's just giving you left, right, like next turn sort of indications, you may not realize that it's prompting you to backtrack. So just be aware of that and happily ignore it. So one way of making sure you're not backtracking is just rather than going to the next turn view, go to the overview view, which is the one that shows you between where you are now and where you're going to.
Yes.
And then you may notice, and it can happen at night time, and you just don't really pay attention because you're not in familiar area. So just a little pro tip: the car sometimes will send you in the wrong direction to seek out a supercharger that's behind you.
Sure.
Alrighty.
Okay, thank you.
No worries. Has anyone else got any questions or comments?
Can I pop in here again? This is why I come. Even though I've had my car since September, I'm still learning stuff from you guys all the time, like virtually every week. And I haven't quite got this navigation right. So sort of following on from Bandula, perhaps, when you put in a destination, sometimes it shows you a couple of alternatives, the light blue color from the one it wants you to go around. And I thought, like Google or Apple Maps do, you touch the other route and it selected that. But then when I set off, it went to the original route. So how do I get it to take the alternative?
Normally it will, if you do deliberately tap on the alternative, it will take that. Sometimes if you don't go precisely in all the directions that it told you on that alternate route. So for example, you may go, I'm not going to go left, right. I'm going to go straight, left. Sorry, left, right, left. I'm just going to go straight and then left at the very end. As soon as you deviate from what it recommended on your alternate route, it'll then go, oh, okay, well, you just obviously want to do the originally planned route, perhaps. So you just
Yes,
got to watch
okay.
that a little bit. So it's a little bit
Yeah.
nuanced. Sometimes, and unfortunately, that alternate route doesn't last for very long. And after a few seconds, whichever route you've done, the other one disappears and you can't get it back.
Back,
The
yeah.
quickest way to get it back is just quickly cancel your destination, go back to your recents, which is the very previous entry, click on it again, and then for, I don't know, 5-10 seconds, it'll give you up to 2 different routes to pick from, and then you can just pick the alternate one, or just start driving in that general direction, and it will actually pick up on that, and then that'll be the new route. If you sort of know roughly where you're going for the first bit, it will actually adapt and then work out what is the most logical way to go most of the time.
And how do you get the enhanced autopilot auto lane changing back? Because for the life of me today, I could not get it to come on.
It depends on your route, so it will work
I
on
was
the
going down the freeway.
Yeah. Well, again, you've got to press that lower left icon in the.
It didn't come. It wasn't there. It didn't show. This is the whole issue. I put navigate home from a destination, and that little icon then didn't come up. So I went in to check that it was on enhanced beta, and it was, but it didn't come up. So obviously I did something odd.
Yeah, that is odd. Maybe then
Remember, I had
try.
trouble getting it to do itself lane changing, and then eventually I found it. I think I spoke about this 1 or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Again today, I know what I'm doing now, and it just didn't come up at all. And I know it was enhanced all the way. So I just thought I've done something wrong.
You mean navigate on autopilot?
Sorry?
You mean navigate on autopilot?
Yes, I navigate on autopilot home because I like playing with it, going and testing it.
You know, as in the thing you need to turn on is called navigate on autopilot.
Yeah, that's all on. Yeah. I discovered this button like, what was it, 2 weeks ago or something.
Oh, that's the one on the actual, while you're driving. Yeah, on the navigate screen, on the bottom of the navigate section, you get the blue icon. It's either mostly blue or less blue. It's a single line or double lines.
It just wasn't there at all. So you're right. You think, oh yeah, it's not navigate on autopilot, it's switched off, but it wasn't. I'm sure it definitely wasn't. Do you have to because is it something like I went to this destination, I didn't have navigate and autopilot on, I changed it to TAC, and then I changed it because I was showing the missus self-parking. So I changed that, made sure everything was on. I mean, I could have made a mistake, don't get me wrong. We all make mistakes, but I'm fairly sure I didn't. I went through and checked it all, navigate on, and then I went navigate home because I was going to show the missus the lane changing, which she hasn't seen before because I couldn't figure it out till about 2 weeks ago. So yeah, it just wouldn't come up today. It's weird. So I'm obviously doing something wrong. It's
clearly it's your fault, Mike. Yeah. So steady on, or it's just a minor Tesla glitch.
Who knows? Yeah, I just thought maybe it's something to do with how you navigate.
Maybe I don't know if the freeway is generally always works.
Yeah.
And so do many parts of Tonkin Highway, but not all parts. There are a few other highways that it does work on, 1 or 2, but the freeway is mainly the one that it does work on, unless, of course, it doesn't. But look, you could always just try and get off all auto, like just go off TAC, go off everything, manual driving, re-engage.
Yes.
And then what would help is, which can be annoying, well, at least in my mind, is if you tell it to default to navigate in autopilot for every trip. Because if you don't do that, you then have to select that little icon in the bottom of your navigate bar when you're navigating. Because of course it only works on when you navigate to somewhere, but you can set that feature to always enable navigate in autopilot at the start of every journey. Journey meaning a navigation journey.
Thanks, because I heard you mention that in a previous week. And
so try that.
It doesn't out to me where that setting is. So I'll look for it tomorrow.
Yep. For me, I often don't use navigate in autopilot because I find some of its lane changing choices annoying.
Yes.
Or not annoying in the sense that I can clearly see that that lane that it wants me to go in is actually about to slow down because I can see people up, slowing down. And, the freeway is a place where people love to go slowly and in the incorrect lanes. So, yeah, I always have to turn it off or just ignore it. You can set it to tap to authorize a lane change, automatic lane change. So it's semi-automatic. Otherwise, if you set it to fully automatic, it just does it. And that can be interesting, say the least.
I was just
Alrighty.
thinking Wayne has Julian on the screen there. Looks like Julian from Madagascar. He's got. You guys probably don't know what I'm talking about. No,
Sorry, who's? So
okay. Wayne Duffy had.
Oh yeah, we've got
his tail looks like Wayne from Madagascar. So Julian from Madagascar, Wayne.
Yeah, that's right. No, I haven't transported there. It's a Siamese Oriental cat, very friendly, likes to tap me on the face.
Cool.
Very good. All right, do we got any other questions or comments before we do another couple of little minor items? Well, not so minor.
Sorry, if there's no one else asking question, can I ask another question, please?
Yes, go.
So can you please give us some advice on spare tire, jack, and tire kit, please?
Okay, so the cheapest you can get at the moment, which is a pretty good deal, I think they're still on special, is a Braumach, which is BRAUMACH.com.au. BRAUMACH. And I think they're in the high 300s. It's just under $400 for a Model 3 or a Model Y spare wheel kit. It's in a bag and it's a skinny spare. It comes with a jack, wheel brace. I think it's got gloves actually, and
gloves,
it might even have a safety triangle. Yeah, yep. So it's the whole kit and caboodle. And look, to be honest, it's very reasonably priced, and it's the most convenient way of carrying a spare that's not permanently mounted in your car. So and obviously don't worry about it being a skinny spare and speed rated to 80 k's an hour, because let's face it, if you need it, it's in a catastrophic flat situation, not just a tech screw. Because the other thing you should also carry one thing you should carry at all times is a tire inflator. So you either get a 12-volt cigarette lighter or whatever, I don't know what that plug's called anymore or called these days, but the old cigarette lighter power source, which a Model 3 has one and the Model Y has two. One's in the boot of the Model Y, and you can carry that. It's a corded device, or you can carry an inflatable one. If you've got something like a Ryobi battery drill or whatever, then you can just buy one of those inflators and bring a battery with you or whatever. Make sure it's obviously charged up. Sure. And also go to somewhere like Supercheap or Repco or whatever and just get one of those unvulcanized rubber slug tire repair kits. I actually used one a week and a half ago on my car. Mm-hmm. And again, it's a temporary repair, but I'm going to be taking that around Australia so that I'll be getting 14,000 Ks on it temporarily. And I went and visited John Edwards the other day, and his Kona had a tech screw neatly in it, and they were about to actually change it. I said, no, you don't need to change the wheel. Just they actually was already partially jacked up, and I just jammed in one of those unvulcanized slugs, and it's fixed it as well. So those two items, inflator and this a tire repair kit, is something that's useful. Can be useful every day, whether you're at home or away from home. Yeah, because it's just more convenient. And then skinny spare, less than $400, great price. You can actually borrow them from the club, but really, if you're going to do regular trips, it's best to be self-sufficient, and you only need one. And once you've got it forever. Yeah. So if you were to borrow it from the club, what is the procedure? Okay, you can just ring 62623131. That's Tokwa's helpline, and then we can arrange for that. Okay. We don't take very advanced bookings because otherwise some people tend to want to book it a lot in the very distant future, like, Christmas holidays and September holidays and things like that. And that can be a bit unfair to other members, and it becomes a bit of a logistics nightmare trying to keep track of all these requests. So we generally sort of lend them on at shortish notice. But please don't ring, tonight and say I'm leaving tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. or something, because
Yeah, understand. So
Cool.
do you have spares, or how many spares do you have?
Don't know is the correct answer off the top of my head, but we've got several for Model 3 or Y.
Okay, no worries. Thanks a lot. That's all
No
from me.
worries.
Thanks.
And
Okay.
this is the thing: if you're looking for a 12-volt inflator, for the current value of a referral, you can get one from Tesla for which is what it's worth. So they're $125 from the Tesla shop, and the current referral gets you $150 credit. So you, if you've got a friend buying a Tesla, you can get yourself a tire inflator for free.
Yeah. Good
Thank
point.
you.
I put the link into the Tesla shop if you want to get one with your credit.
Okay, thank you.
Alrighty. Here's some bit of news. Let me just bring this page up. The new supercharger voting session has started, and it's been struggling how to describe this. It's, in my humble opinion, this is not necessarily Tokwa's opinion. In my own personal opinion, I think it's descended into farce. So, and it's basically pointless. And I'll tell you why. In Australia, there are 4 locations. There is one location we can vote for called Perth. And there's another location called, I think this is Ipswich in an outer suburb of Brisbane. And then you have a place called Sydney West. And then you have a place called Epping, which at least is a suburb in the north of Melbourne. So basically there are 4 locations, we have 5 votes. Previously, the original intention of the supercharger voting setup was that Tesla had allocated separate funds for superchargers that people would suggest and then vote on by popular vote. And the intention was actually to get some supercharger locations that aren't otherwise commercially viable at this stage. And it was kind of to sort of stretch the network to interesting places that would be useful to owners. But as you can see in Australia, the 4 locations are just nondescript capital city locations for which we already know Tesla is going to be installing multiple superchargers, for example, in Perth. And, one classic example is at the Osborne Park showroom, there is going to be a supercharger set up, which is a brilliant thing to do. But it's kind of farcical for us to, what do we do with 5 votes? We vote for all 4 Australian locations, which achieves nothing. If we want it to be West Australian, if we wanted WA first, what you do is you'd vote for Perth and no one else, or vote for Perth and any other location outside of APAC, because we are in a pool inside the Asia Pacific. So, in my humble opinion, it's just pointless. Tesla are just going to claim that the Osborne Park one was the winner when they install it and everyone's happy, or Epping or Ipswich or some suburb in Western Sydney. So anyway, but it is the fact that this is the new quarter for voting, and every owner gets 5 votes, and yeah, it is what it is. Unless someone wants to disagree with me and say it's a really good idea and we should all get excited and, I don't know, vote for Perth and whatever.
I voted for Perth, and that was it.
Great.
I was like,
I mean, if we could do all 5 votes for Perth, that's something.
then I would have.
But you can't. So, yeah. So look,
Yeah, I
if
don't
you want to vote, if you can be bothered, to be honest, it doesn't matter. I don't think it. Well, we already know there are 3 superchargers coming to Perth. So
Yep.
what? Are we going to get a 4th one? No. Well, we will in
I'd
the fullness of time.
be less cynical if they got around to building any of the other ones that we voted for.
Mm.
And
Yes.
or any of the other superchargers in Western Australia that they've told us they're already planning to build, which they haven't built yet, like
Yeah.
Greenhead or Busselton or
Busselton.
Southern
Mandurah.
Cross. Southern Cross
Well,
is a
Southern
winner,
Cross
Ken.
was a previous winner. That's right.
Yeah.
And it's still a nice little grey dot on the map.
Yes.
And you know, build me Greenhead and Busso and Mandurah and Southern Cross, and then you can come back and do Perth Tesla.
Yeah.
Exactly. Although one thing you should do in Perth is please do something like the DFO somewhere in the Perth Airport precinct, because that is actually useful, particularly for people doing Uber tripping, or look, even Tesla owners where you might be waiting for someone and you're a bit low in juice, or sorry, you've parked in long-term car park, you forgot to turn Sentry mode off, your car's at 20%, and you've got to drive to Mandurah or something, and you don't want to have to sort of, well, somewhat limp or feel like you're limping to Karrinyup when you could just go around the corner to the DFO or something and supercharge there. You know, that's a useful Perth supercharger location.
100%.
You know, some of the others less so.
But that's okay. We literally just got six more votes for Perth just in the last 30 seconds. So well done, all you guys.
Actually, maybe I should vote for Perth live on, because I haven't even voted yet. Actually,
Yeah,
I
do it.
will vote.
Well,
I'll vote.
another way of looking at it is there's no downside to just doing one vote for Perth. So there is no downside to that. So you might as well just do that. But yeah,
Definitely do that.
getting back to the airport location, Perth Airport is woefully underserviced when it comes to chargers. I think I looked at this was like a year ago, and I looked at the closest 20 airports to Perth, international airports, and apart from Jakarta, there was no other airport without chargers. So, you know, we're a first world country. Not to have any EV chargers at an airport like Perth is, and the fact is that they're doing some renovations there. They're changing a few things around. And when I asked them if they had plans for EV chargers, the first reaction was just, you know, laughter. So it's obviously not even on the radar.
And yet, strangely so, when I was watching the subcontractors finish off the installation at the Karrinyup supercharger a few years ago, they actually said the very next thing they were going to do, well, they were currently undertaking a power study, I think they called it, at DFO for superchargers. But for whatever reason, it didn't work out. So, yeah. All right, so I've got 5 votes.
Harold, is the DFO within
Yes.
the airport embedded network?
I don't know what that means, Pete. It's in the airport precinct.
Yes.
It's one of the reasons why if you're a little bit late getting to the airport, sorry, a little bit late leaving home, you might miss your domestic or international, particularly domestic flight, because the Airports Corporation cares more about having DFOs and Woolworths bloody freight centres and all these logistics places, because it's federal government land which isn't subject to lots of other things, and brickworks. They're more interested in doing that than flying airplanes. So often the off-ramp off Tonkin Highway to the domestic section is chockers with shoppers, not people flying. But anyway, rant over. I'm going to vote, so let's just do this. Vote. And there's 147 votes live on Ask Us Anything. So Ken, maybe I'll put you in charge of checking out if any more votes have come through. Everyone vote. Please vote early and vote often. You can only vote once for Perth.
You just vote only
Can you
Perth
remind me
and
how you do it?
not the East. That's the supercharged voting. Just type in that, and then you log in.
Yeah, because I've logged into my account online, but I can't
No, Richard, you don't log into your account. You just got to
No, you
go
don't.
into.
No, that's all right.
So so if you go on the very top menu where it says charging, and once you click there, there's a little drop down, and about the middle thing on the right hand side is supercharger voting.
Oh,
Oh,
cool.
yeah. Thanks, man. There we go.
Good job.
Cool. We've got something else about the Cybertruck, but we might just hold that off for a second. Have we got any other questions or comments at about the 1 hour mark, halfway through the program?
I want to know about the Cybertruck.
You just have to wait.
No. Okay. Sorry.
And that can't be the question. You can't go, oh, Paul, well, yeah, what question you got, Paul? Oh, what about the Cybertruck?
Yeah,
No.
exactly.
Yeah, what about full self-driving?
Ooh,
No, I don't know anything about that yet.
soon.
It's coming soon.
It's coming.
Soon.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
So do I have to buy it for this car again, even though I've moved it to my other car? You know, it's like. But will
Actually-
it ever come to Hardware 3 cars? You know, are we thinking that Elon meant it when he said he would upgrade Hardware 3 cars to Hardware 4 cars? I don't know. All that
No,
fun
no,
discussion. Let's not have it again.
He
It's
does
on
mean
the
it.
record.
He does mean it because, in fact, Richard Chapman's ex, which was my ex, has had. I think you've done it, Richard. Has had its Hardware 2 computer upgraded to Hardware 3.
Yeah. So has that Model S behind
Oh,
me.
sorry, yeah, and Elon Musk absolutely. He said he didn't believe it was necessary, but he actually conceded that if it was necessary,
Yeah.
they would just do it. And yes, it would be pain. Actually, I think he's actually he's softening to probably accepting it's probably necessary.
Yeah,
because
that was the wording at the most recent kind of financial
Earnings call,
was that it's likely that they're going to have to do that. But he hasn't. Lots of press have come out and said that means he's absolutely definitely going to do it. I don't think he was that non-equivocal because he's probably smarter than that. But
I haven't upgraded the computer, or I haven't been invited to have the computer upgraded in the X.
No.
I paid for it in the S, but no, I'm happy to do it when they reach out.
Yeah, Richard, have they done your cameras? And if not, you should book it in. Get their
no, they did. Yeah, no, they did.
Is your front dash cam in color now?
Front dash.
Or is it still in weird ruby red?
No, they did that. No, that was fine. No, they did that.
That's
Sorry.
good.
I think
Excellent.
very, very soon after I got it from Harold. I've forgotten about that, but yes, they did.
So at the risk of suggesting that Tesla don't stand by their word, they have, for all of us classic owners, they have done what they've needed to do, and I respect them for that. But I'm looking forward to full self-driving on my 2017. Because I've just put new tires on it, so I need to go places.
You've got to wear them down. That's it.
And I've just hit 123,456 kilometers, so I'm really pleased with that.
Oh, did you get a photo or it didn't happen?
Yeah. I posted it in the chat. 1, 2, 3,
very
4, 5, 6. I was really chuffed about that. I had a mate in the back seat, kind of watching the odometer going up and ready to take a picture. It was quite good. So now I've got a picture from when it was 67,420, and 69,420. Sorry, and which is of course the hilarious number, and now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 as well.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I got 169,420 on the side of Red Highway. I had to pull over on the emergency stopping lane to take it.
To make sure your new car is out of warranty already.
Oh yeah, well it was out of warranty after 9 months. Anyway, but I've had good use of it. So actually, we might as well do this Cybertruck thing because it all does. Because one of the questions was asked is, am I going to get full self-driving for this Juniper Model Y? And initially, I won't, until of course, or unless Tesla releases FSD, and then of course, like a lemming, I'll jump on and say take another $10,100 like the other $20,200 they've already got off me. But anyway, the article is in EV Central and it's about the Cybertruck. And it was basically around Tom Drew, who is Tesla's company director, basically being asked at the Melbourne Car Show, which was only held last week, I think it was, something like that, or the weekend before. And basically, there's questions about homologation concerns, and he said that's their opinion. He goes on to say a lot of those concerns are unfounded around its compliance. There is a lot about it that works within the Australian compliance system. Are there changes required? This is absolutely part of the discussion with headquarters at the moment. One thing, by the way, people that say, it won't meet with ANCAP or NCAP, crash test thingos. ANCAP doesn't currently test full-size pickup trucks. So the Cybertruck is actually exempt from being tested by ANCAP. It's not subject to ANCAP testing. So if someone said, you need pedestrian safety, blah, 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 at least as far as a crash testing regime goes, ANCAP does not have one for full-size use.
If they're worried about pedestrian safety, they haven't looked at a Dodge Ram.
Exactly, precisely. Then basically, a thing here, even if the homologation and compliance issues were resolved, Drew, as in Tom Drew, admitted the big challenge would be assembling a business case to sell the Cybertruck profitably to Australia. He said, I think the consideration we have to make a decision on as a business is Australia really the only right-hand drive market where it's suitable? Now, I know Thailand is a right-hand drive market, and I think the Thais are fairly keen on some pickup trucks. So hopefully, perhaps
Definitely.
the Thais can sort of be part of that right-hand drive market. And he said that, that is obviously part of the consideration for the program. He's now changed his tone a little bit and said, I'm not confident it's coming, but we are discussing it. So that was a little bit more cautious than when he was previously. Locally, we want to see it here, but it's certainly not a done deal just yet. It's being reviewed. So a little bit more circumspect, perhaps appropriately cautious not to over-egg the case that it is definitely coming. But have no doubt, Tesla Australia are trying really hard to make it happen. And all that Elon and Tesla have to do is say yes. And to be honest, it's not like they're flat out making Cybertrucks as fast as they possibly can to meet, unmet US demand. The demand just isn't as strong in the US as perhaps Tesla had thought it was. So just chuck that steering module on the right-hand side and bring them to Australia, please. And if I knew they were going to do that, then maybe I wouldn't get FSD on the Juniper until, of course, Tesla releases FSD, and then I'll just buy it anyway. Whatever. What do I know? Anyway, yeah. Anyone got any questions or comments about that, or just questions in general?
I want my bloody Cybertruck.
That's a statement. That's a comment. Yes, that is a comment. Sorry, that's a comment. That's a comment.
Great question. Can I have my bloody Cybertruck?
Yes.
Yes. Please. I gave you $150. Give me.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, I'm
I'll
all
give
in
you
for
the other-
150.
And I'll give you the other, what is it? Probably 190,000 to go.
If I bought part of a Tesla share in 2019, in November 2019, it's probably worth several times $150.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Just vaguely on the topic, are we excited about the fact that there's now a cheap Cybertruck and the rear wheel drive entry Cybertruck? Because I mean previously all they've been selling was the top of the line ones basically.
Yeah, I was I'd sort of briefly thought about putting it in the news, but in the sense we've always really what Tesla's doing is building something they've already promised in the American market. I'll just try and bring up the American market. There has been some talk that maybe what they're actually trying to do is make the all-wheel drive Cybertruck look more enticing as a value proposition, because by decontenting the rear-wheel drive version, people are more likely to go, oh, I won't get the cheapest or the dearest. I'll go into what now is the middle version.
I mean that's pretty standard good, better, best marketing,
Yeah,
on the basis that most people will buy the better.
Yeah, and I'm just going to bring up so the difference is, so the all-wheel drive has 325 miles range, 4.1 seconds, can tow 11,000 pounds, blah, blah. The long range is now actually longer, so probably due to the weight reduction. So it's got the same battery pack, 362 miles, 6.2 seconds, 0 to 100, and can only, inverted commas, tow about 3.5 tons. Sorry, about 3.5 tons.
Yeah.
Which I think, by the way, might be Australia's towing limit as well, roughly. I think even if we got a Cyber Beast or an all-wheel drive. But yeah, definitely dimensionally it's all identical. It's just that it's missing the front motor, and it's got some decontenting. So I think it hasn't got the rear screen, and it's got cloth seats. Doesn't have air adjustable suspension.
Doesn't have the tonneau cover in the back. It's only
it's got it as an option. So there's a $750 option, so you can buy it as an optional extra.
But that's for the soft cover. That's just the soft.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. Apologies. Oh, all right. Okay. Yep.
And it rolls on.
So it hasn't got some of the fancy features. So I think it was $10,000 less US. So look, there's no doubt that some people who can't quite afford the more fancy one, it's got less speakers as well, they might go for it. I think it also hasn't got ventilated seats, but it's got heated seats, I think. So there is a bit of decontenting.
Heated seats are only to the front seats.
That's right, yes. So it's really, look, for a typical ute or pickup truck driver in America, it's more luxurious than they've ever had. So perhaps it's a clever move, and it's something that Tesla had promised. By the way, there was something made of the fact that I think it's $70,000, and originally it was up for $40,000 in November 2019. But if you do a inflation adjusted calculator, it's basically in line with what they announced. It's only a couple of $1,000 out. So it is, on an inflation adjusted basis, pretty much in line. But yeah, Ken, I think, look, it's great. It's about time they've got this cheapest version, and let's hope that brings sales up and gets that factory cranking. But in the same extent, let's also hope that those 3 models become available in Australia. And, I'm certain there'll be many thousands sold here, without doubt.
Yeah, for sure.
And there'll be a first wave of all us idiots that just want one anyway because it's the coolest thing to be in. But then you'll get that second wave once people see them on the roads, once the tradies see them and know that there's multiple kilowatts of power available in the bed for all your electrical tools and equipment, and it's robust and all that sort of stuff and secure. I think a lot of them are going to lose their minds over it and just buy it. But we just need Elon to say yes, say okay. All right. Oh, sorry, I got some hands up. I don't know who went first.
James was first.
James, go, James.
Yeah, I just put a table into the chat on the left-hand drive or right-hand driving markets with 4x4s. Australia is clearly dominant.
Yeah, right. Oh, but Thailand's up there. Good. So Thailand's sort of,
So
about a quarter. Sorry, whatever. A bit more than a third.
Obviously, they're kind of ranging numbers there. But if you looked at that, if you said 10% of those sales were Cybertruck, that's 50,000 a year. And
Yeah,
all those
indeed.
countries, from what I can tell, they're all selling the made in Thailand Rangers Isuzu, so they must be very closely, i.e., one size fits all, pretty much in safety and configurations, only minor changes.
So if you sort of say Australia's so total addressable market, rather than being say 270,000, is say 400,000 for the right-hand drive ecosystem. Look, hopefully that's enough to get over the line. And look, even if you say it's 5%, or I mean, initially it's going to be less than that, but look, it's not. I think the thing that's a bit frustrating is when the old Model S's and X's came into Australia, vastly less were sold, and Tesla and it was done the hard way, which is mechanical linkages and all that sort of stuff. So we definitely know, there's no doubt that the Cybertruck can be converted to right-hand drive extraordinarily simply, because there's no additional penetrations. I think we've spoken about this maybe a year or two ago when Sandy Munro tore down a Cybertruck, and of course it's got an asymmetrical bulkhead. But the thing is, because the steering mechanism is actually just a force feedback module, it just bolts into where the glove box is, and the pedals are easy, and the wiper motor is easy, and there's nothing else that really needs to be done to homologate it for Australia. So it's not going to be hard, and it's additional incremental sales. It's just it's as simple as that, and we will pay whatever Tesla wants for the Cyber Beast. And I mean, I don't know much about utes, but some of these premium utes, $150,000 is not unheard of for some of the bigger Rams and other things. So it's, anyway. All right. So, sorry, John, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, Harold, the irony for me with the Cybertruck and the Y is that I can camp with heating or cooling in my attachable tent, but a Cybertruck just loses it. It's it's a bigger, more suitable unit, but you just can't do the things the Y can do.
Yeah, there's no they don't have a pass-through or the option of air conditioning vents into the bed, which would be super cool, because there's a huge amount of space, huge in the bed. I forget how long it is. Is it 8 foot? I think they say that. So it's taller. It's longer than most people are tall. So it'd be super comfortable. But you're right. You don't get any way of passing air through. And for example, the small back window, which is enclosed by the vault, the tonneau cover, that's not movable. It's not a movable window, so you can't sort of like let the cool air bleed through. So, yeah, I guess on that note, John, you are right. It's as a comfortable camper, it's not in summer, or the depth of winter, it's not quite as useful.
Yeah, it just doesn't tick the box.
However, the back row seats do all fold up and out of the way, and you can lay lengthways across the floor. So that's only one person. So that's something you can do in the Cybertruck, which I look forward to testing.
In winter in the bed, you can just plug a electric blanket into the outlet.
Yes. Yeah, you could. Yeah. I'm not going
to say
you
pass the pub test. It doesn't pass the pub test for the Y with a tent attached to the back. It's a beautiful unit, and the Cybertruck fails.
Yeah. I don't know. I reckon we could razz up some ductwork, some flexible duct, and like a slot. So you put the back window down a little bit, and then you sort of like put a duct thing, and I don't know. I'm sure we could work something out.
Yeah, like taping your Starlink to the top front, the top window, glass.
Don't knock it till you try it.
Yeah.
Which is something I got to do that test.
Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got to do that test for the Juniper Y, because it's got advanced silver coating on the glass roof. So I'm a bit concerned that the Starlink might not be able to get through. So that it might have to live on the dashboard, which is still totally viable. It's perfectly okay. All Oh, Mike, you got your hand up.
Yes, it seemed a bit quiet this evening. I'll just pass on. I went to pick up some stuff because I'm redoing my wet areas of the house, and the young fella who was putting the stuff in the back of the 3, he said, "Oh, there's a lot more space in this than I expected." And he seemed interested in the car, so I was doing my Tesla, what do you call it, representation thing today with him. So I showed him the self-parking, or whatever the correct term is. He was totally amazed. He says, "Oh, I didn't know you could do that." And of course, it works like a champ. So, he thought that was good. And because I said to him, "You need to do your numbers." But I said, "What are you driving now?" And he said, "I think it is there a car called an Amarok, a VW or something? Is it an Amarok?" Yeah, right.
Yeah. Yep.
And he said, I said, "What was your last fill up?" And he says, $170 or something. Right?
Jesus.
Or 130 maybe. Anyway, it was well over 100. And I'm going, wow. I said, "Look, well, petrol's half the price if you're on standard electricity, roughly." I said, round numbers, roughly. He said, "Oh, that's interesting." He said, "Because I spend an hour going to and from work every day." So I said, "Well, I said, do your numbers." And I said, "Have you ever been in one?" So I sat him in it and we looked around and that. So he seemed quite impressed. So, but I said, "How old are you?" He says, 19, because I can't tell how old people are. I said, "Insurance might be an issue for you." I said, "You might be paying a bit for insurance being 19 on." I said, the Model Ys are currently in run out. You could buy a pretty reasonable one of them, and they've got lots of room in the back, more than this and more than the 3 I was in. But I said insurance, and I don't know what insurance would be for a 19-year-old on a 50 grand car, but I imagine it's not less than $1,000.
Yeah, no, it's look, insurance for teenagers is expensive.
Yes.
My kids are less than 25 and they're spending $2,500.
Yay.
It's not,
Horrible.
but again, they had Hyundai Konas, ordinary ones, petrol ones,
Yes.
and the insurance was much the same. The actual price of the car is not as significant as the penalty you pay for age. And you
Yes.
keep getting shafted by insurance companies until you are above 25. I think you got to be
Yes.
26, and that's when they
Yes.
stop the massive excesses and the rather large premiums,
Yes.
in spite of having multiple years of so-called no claim bonus.
But I imagine he's paying something decent for that VW anyway, because that's
Yeah,
quite a
indeed.
large car from memory.
Well, $170, I don't know what the efficiency of an Amarok is, but it's actually, you said it's on normal electricity, it's about half. It's actually closer to a quarter of the price. If you're on your 30-cent standard A1 or whatever it's called tariff, it's closer to a quarter. If you are supercharging, so you're using
Oh yeah, it's different.
commercial rates of electricity for fast DC charging, then it's closer to half of the cost of petrol. And then the other thing too is if he keeps his car for a while, so for example, my car, it's going to tick over 180,000 Ks soon. That is 12, 15,000 kilometre service intervals. Now imagine what the cost of 12 services would have cost for a petrol or diesel car. And, most of those after 100,000 Ks, you do a major service, and that's many, many multiple hundreds of dollars. So, if those services were say $300, say $200 each, there's $2,500.
$200 each, more like $500 each, probably.
Well, yeah, well, that's right. So there's a lot of actually hidden costs that people with conventional cars just accept as annual costs, basically.
Well, they seemed quite interested, so I thought, oh well, I'll show him inside and whatever. I said, I can't really show you how fast it goes. I said, being a teenager, I thought you'd like that. But I put it in sport mode and just kicked it in the gust for 2 seconds. He was suitably impressed because I've got the speed boost as well in my dual motor. So,
let's face it. Anyone that hops in a slowest in class rear wheel drive Model Y, which does 0 to 106 point something seconds, are amazed how fast it is.
Yes.
Because compared to anything they've driven, unless they've driven a V8 or a performance car, the slowest Tesla EV is better than anything most people have experienced, and then it only gets better from there.
I think it's 5.9 seconds for the new.
Well, yeah, it's
the
even
new
better
one,
now.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, fight. anything that had a 5 in front for a petrol fueled vehicle, I think the Walkinshaw V8s weren't less than 5 seconds. Those older cars just didn't. You just couldn't get the traction down. They just couldn't do it. And
Even
yet,
the WRXs, the Subaru WRXs, were high fours only a few years ago.
and they were World Rally Champion cars. They were designed for absolute maximum acceleration and handling,
Yes.
obviously. But yeah, so
So that was quite interesting, and so I thought he showed but I said insurance would be the killer for you, but you just need to do your numbers, see if it's worthwhile. But
as
those
an
wires
Amarok,
at the moment are good value,
is he an employee of or what is he a tradie or?
I've no idea, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this was a small firm, well, medium, no, small firm that just do cabinets and stuff for bathrooms and whatever. And I was picking up the doors and
because of course there is one of the best tax incentives that exists on Earth is the FBT exemption for cars with dutiable values less than the modified luxury car tax threshold.
Yes.
And it basically means that you're paying with before tax income on a novated lease, and it's just very compelling. It's very compelling, and there's zero FBT. And if you're a small business owner, it's even better because you just run the whole car through your business. You can even have multiple cars. You can effectively gift them or allow your family members to drive those cars officially for nothing but personal reasons, and it runs through the business. Obviously, check with your accountant, but this is the case. Yes, you have to account for the fringe benefit, but it's zero rated, so your business does not have to submit anything to the ATO except for a fringe benefits return, which states what the benefit, the amount of it, and that will affect your things like family tax benefit part A and B or whatever, and your discount super contribution thingy. I forget what it's called. Anyway, concessional super contributions that you can make, that limit. But it's one of the best tax incentives that exists. So if you've got your own business or you work for a larger business that does do novated leasing or is prepared to do it, it's a very compelling offering. And hybrids were kicked off as of the 1st of April, thankfully. So now it's only real EVs that are involved, and that's a very big stimulus.
Oh, I saw a post on X today. Was it about hybrids potentially chew more fuel than ordinary cars even?
Yeah, that's plausible because many people that get hybrids, they get them as company cars. Yes. And of course, as a company car, they get a company fuel card. And no employee in their right mind would park their car at home and plug it in and fill it with their electricity at their expense, which it's just too difficult to get a refund back on, and it's just not worth the hassle when you just go to the petrol station like you've always done, because it's not your car, not your money, and you don't care. So you're actually dragging around the worst of both worlds. You've got an internal combustion engine, which needs to be regularly serviced, and you've got this very small battery pack and a small electric motor that adds weight and a tiny little bit of additional complexity. And
yeah, I think, Harold, these were the full hybrids, not the plug-in jobs. So it was one of like the old Priuses,
Yeah, exactly. Yep. I mean,
so they're not even plugging it in at home.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Sorry, yes.
A mild hybrid.
Look,
whatever they're called, yeah, Paul.
Around town, in a city, in urban driving, they definitely use less fuel because they can recuperate. They can use regen instead of friction braking, which is very useful for urban stuff. Which is why in petrol stuff, you normally get better highway cycle than urban cycle because it's the opposite to EVs. even though the faster you go, the worse the efficiency is in general. Around town, you're doing a lot of friction braking, which then gobbles up a lot of energy. So that's where the mild hybrids are effective. But I forget, was it Brian? No, it wasn't Brian Dorr. It was, there's two guys that were driving around Australia in a Prius, and they were doing it to be greener. But the thing is, if you're doing a 1,000-kilometre trip in the Prius, you'll never regenerate anything. It's just burning fuel the whole time. There is no magic about the hybrid because the battery unit's dead flat because you never slow down.
Yeah,
So,
I didn't pay a lot of attention, but the picture was a car with a whole bunch of pipes and, instrumentation all over it that some company had done some sort of study on. And it just said hybrids tend to use more than even ordinary petrol cars. So I didn't look at it properly because I'm not interested anymore. But
yeah. Oh, look, definitely on a physical point of view, it'd be, if you're on a highway, it would use a bit more because it's carrying more weight. But in a strict round town start-stop traffic, there's no doubt that a well-performing mild hybrid is better. But of course, the better thing than all of that is just a pure battery electric vehicle whose energy comes from the grid, which absolutely can and will be increasingly fueled with renewable energy.
they
So,
sound good. You know where I can get one?
Polestar, something like that? No?
Yeah. Harold, I have a Toyota RAV4 hybrid as my previous car. I still use it, or my wife drives it now. What you said was perfectly correct. It is very economical. You can get about 900 kilometers on a full tank doing town running. But if you're on the highway, I'm going to Bunbury or somewhere at 100 Ks, it's as bad as or as good as a normal ICE engine.
Yeah, definitely.
But other than that, RAV4, I must say, is a pretty good car. It's a very comfortable and very, very good hybrid. If you're buying a hybrid, that's the car to buy, I think. Yeah.
And I think originally Toyota had a agreement with Tesla to buy some of the drivetrains and batteries, I think, for a program from some of the older RAV4s. I'm pretty sure that was back in the day.
It was like 15 years ago, sort of.
Yeah. Back in the old days when it looked like Toyota might have taken its world-leading advantage in hybrids and actually go to battery electric until they just went crazy and went, nah. And then now they keep...
Sorry, I was going to say that was because of Californian emissions, and they did that to meet emissions targets. And then I think they were crushed. They were all leased. You couldn't buy them, and then Toyota crushed every single one of them. It was so sad.
Yeah, and what's the name did the same with the Volt.
GM.
No, sorry, the EV1.
Yep.
That was General Motors. But there are a small handful of EV1s that survived, and I think one, it wasn't stolen, but it wasn't returned or something. It sort of, whoever leased it stopped paying for the lease or went broke or something, and one of them was found in a multi-story car park with years of dust on it, like it was just sat there doing nothing, being totally bricked. So there are only a few surviving examples of the EV1, because it's no different to the two Ballard hydrogen buses that Transperth was trialing from their Malaga depot. They were hydrogen fuel cell buses, and at the end of that trial period, Transperth was obliged to provably demolish those vehicles. They weren't allowed to just sort of keep using them. They had to destroy them as part of this weird deal. So some of those strange deals happen.
You want to hear another conspiracy?
Yeah, go on.
Toyota.
Go on, Saxon.
Toyota makes a heap of their hybrids are available in plug-in, but none of them are available in the Australian market.
Yeah.
And that to me makes no sense. I don't even understand. I don't even understand why they wouldn't do that.
I don't know. Well, we know why. And in China, they have full electric, but doesn't matter. They're Kodak wonder. So,
Oh, it's
That's
just
right.
fun. I've got a mate who's got the Outlander, the Fev, and he
Yep.
reckons he's filled the tank twice in like 2 years, and only when the car makes him, because they just use it as a runaround car for the city to go to Coles and that, and
oh
he
yeah.
charges it every night, and I think it does 90 Ks off a charge. He said
No.
we just never drive more than
Well, they must
whatever
drive
it's
really
got.
slow because they've got plug-in Outlanders at work, and it gets nowhere near that.
Oh, maybe it's not 90, but whatever they're doing with it on a daily basis,
Yeah, I think it's like 40 Ks.
that they never
Yeah, I
do
had
the limit.
I had an Outlander for about 18 months, the Fev, the first generation one. And yeah, it was closer to about 60K.
Yeah.
But as a run around in Perth, that's fine, because most people, if you're going to pick up your kids from school or go to local shops, look, well, let's face it, the average car in Western Australia does 38 kilometres a day.
Yeah.
So you just plug your Fev in at night. But of course, if you only use 2 tanks of fuel in a year, one of the issues is that fuel getting a bit stale, and then technically you still, in that whole year, you're still probably obliged to give it a service at your expense.
Yeah, he had to fill it because it came up on the dash and said, sorry, he had to use the fuel because I think it came up on the dash and made him use the fuel.
Yeah.
So it's cheaper to get a Model Y.
As retirees, that's what we were actually looking at, because we're exactly that sort of people. We do 100 kilometres, go up to the shop and back and Bunnings because kids are not at school anymore and all that stuff. But the cost of new ones, like we've had Mazdas and Fords for years, and we looked at the Mazda and it was like 70 or 80 grand.
Yep.
And so when Jamie at the Tesla shop, Aussie Park, showed me the used 1.3 that we got, it was a no-brainer. You get the full, you get a proper battery.
And the thing is, the paradigm has now shifted from EVs being exotic early adopter. Well, the original EVs were butt ugly, a la the Nissan Leaf, the Mitsubishi i-MiEV, and some others. And it was almost like you had to be a true tree hugger, basically. And to demonstrate your credentials, you had to drive a provably ugly car, just to show that I don't care how silly I look, I love the environment more than I love the respect of my peers. So that was the case, and they were glorified golf carts, golf buggies. But EVs now are mainstream. They are basically without compromise, and for all road trips, provided there's adequate charging, and that's now slowly coming to pass. And as a daily driver, they are literally a no-brainer, because hands up, the last time any of us who only have EVs went to a petrol station, unless you had to buy some milk at 9 p.m. or something.
I pumped up my tyres.
And pumped your tyres.
I sheepishly sneak in.
Oh no, I don't.
And pump up my tyres. But man, I think I've got like the amount of money I've spent at BP over the last like two and a bit decades. Man, I think I've earned some free air.
Yes. Exactly. So
are you allowed to go in and pinch their air? Is it pinching their air if you don't buy petrol? It's a good question. I never thought about it. I've been doing that, sneaking in.
Nah.
There's no sign that says EV is not allowed, or customers only. And you could be a customer because you could just go and buy a bottle of Diet Coke or something or whatever, or just get yourself a bloody inflator. In fact, and here's a good point too. Something that I think I'm sure most people do incorrectly is, if you go, like you look on the car will tell you that the recommended cold inflate is 42 psi roughly on most Teslas. And most people will drive to a petrol station and then put in 42 psi. But the thing is, your tyres by definition aren't cold, they're actually warm.
45. And
depending on how far you've gone, they actually could be hot. And then what you should do is actually guesstimate and go, I'll put an extra 3 psi or 4 psi so that when I wake up in the morning and leave and my TPMS starts up, it will actually show 42 rather than 39. Or better still, buy yourself a tyre inflator, and every now and then on a weekend when you wake up late, just plug it in and set it to the 42 or whatever you prefer, and then you know it's guaranteed cold by definition. So, and then you can avoid having to go to BP and feeling either slightly guilty or rather entitled, because like old people, they go, well, I've paid taxes all my life, so now I'm entitled to a pension. So most of us have spent most of our lives buying petrol off BP and others, and yeah, we want our free air.
I missed out on the because I've invested in Bunnings. I don't, as you pronounce it, Azito tools or whatever. So I've got heaps of their batteries, and they had their small inflator on special matching Aldi for like $33 or something the other week, and by the time I figured it out, they'd all sold out.
Oh.
So I'm just waiting for it to come around on special again. They've got a bigger one, which I'd actually like, and I'm too stingy to pay $80 for it, which is pretty good actually. But I just don't buy things I don't need until it's on special. That's all. It's just the principle of the thing.
And then you'll buy something that you don't need.
Yeah,
because it's cheap.
Hey, here's a question: do we know sales in Asia Pacific? Because I've seen sales out of the US, and they were really good for Tesla, like everybody else put together. I think I saw on X. Do we know Q1 Asia Pacific yet? How are we looking?
No, we only know Australia. So
even Australia, then I haven't seen any.
Yeah, I'll just bring up the Australian website. It's part of the Driven. I think it's the Driven. Let me just grab it. Here we go. Australian EV sales.
Head down for maintenance.
This site is currently undergoing scheduled maintenance, so you have to do that while Ask Us Anything is on. Anyway, it's suffice to say that Tesla was in the top 2 spots, and it was Model Y first with about 2,000 sales. Model 3, which had a 1 in front, I think it was 1,800. Sorry, Model Y was a high 2,000s, I think. Model 3 was high 1,000s, and then one of the BYDs, or the MG was third. But Tesla was bigger than any other manufacturer in Australia in the March quarter. But basically, I'll put the link. If you just look at, for anyone on YouTube or X, you can just see it there. It's the Driven 2025/3/4/Australian. I can't read it because Zoom's in the way, but there's stuff there, and you can go to that site, and that is updated incrementally every month once figures come in.
I imagine next quarter will be pretty good as well.
Oh, definitely, man.
There was a news report that Tesla has sent 3,500 cars in one shipment to Port Kembla. Model Ys, sorry. 3,500 Model Ys aboard one ship to Port Kembla. So that's for much of the eastern seaboard. And obviously we know that Perth is getting 262 Model Ys in the first ship. Of which there should be more, I think. I don't know. Yeah, and by the way, if anyone has ordered a Tesla of any kind, and say one day they get a notification of what their VIN is, please call Tokwa on 62623131, and then we can look up that VIN and see which ship it's on and when that ship's going to arrive. And I'll get you that website, which is this one here. So you go www.moleace.com/all caps TRK/search. And for that, you select your VIN. And once you put your VIN in, you search. And when you find it, what you can then do is you'll get a booking number here. You copy that booking number, paste it back into this search, then select booking number, hit search again, and that will actually bring up all of the VINs in that booking number. And that's how we know that there were 262 Model Ys. In fact, I think I can't remember how many Model 3s in addition as well, but there's a lot of cars coming. So there you go. Alrighty, we've got about 20 minutes to go in this awesome show. Any questions or comments?
Oh, James.
Or we can call it an earlier night, which is.
I was just going to say that Australia is unusual in having free air at petrol stations. Most other places you have to pay for it.
UK's one. Yep.
Yep. And even here, I know Lancelin, which is a very popular forward driving place. The petrol station there, you got to pay for it because obviously everyone goes and airs down, drives in. They have to run the compressor for about 1,000 people every week, so they charge you up there. So.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, and Australia has mostly free public toilets as well, and many places don't, and you've often got to spend a penny, literally and metaphorically.
Yes.
And it's more than a penny. It can be like €1 or
a pound.
whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nightclubs in Europe paying for the toilet. That was always interesting.
Yeah.
Indeed. Although, if you go to a petrol station, which is, if you go to the supercharger, which is attached to the petrol station, one of the things is, or in a shop, if you buy something or a restaurant, then you get a voucher, and then you can use it for free. So it might only cost you a cup of coffee or something. But anyway,
I put a link in there's a company called Breeze Windows in the US. They make a opening window. They make them for all sorts of trucks, but they do a Cybertruck as well. So there's a link in the chat. Don't watch the video. The video is 19 minutes long, but there's a link.
It's a YouTube link though.
No, there's one above that at 8:48.
Oh, gotcha. Sorry, gotcha. Okay. Let me just.
So it replaces the window with an opening window, and also has a hose pipe thing that connects and redirects the air out the back window.
Oh wow! Look at that. Oh, that's exactly what you. There you go. So was it John? I think you were saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's this. Oh, so you actually put it onto that duct. Oh, very good. So you put the vacuum cleaner hose on there, and then that goes to there, and it's just all too easy.
Problem solved.
It's only $1,400. And the way the US dollar is going to be going, it's going to get even cheaper. So
there you go.
There you go.
So Jeeps and Rivians and everything.
Awesome. So do I dare? Hang on.
He's going to buy one now before
Enjoy a significant discount along with free accessories valued at over $450. Yeah.
Well, this has cost me because I've just bought a Browmac tyre being delivered.
Oh, good job. Oh, just so you know, the tyre comes separate to the jack. So you get them on separate days.
Oh, okay.
So when mine rocked up, I got the jack and all the bits and not the tyre. And I was like, I need the tyre. And it rocked up like the next day, which was good because I did a run to Busso.
We've done 4 times across the Nullarbor now to Sydney and Tasmania and that with no spare tyre.
Well, yeah,
so I think our luck. I think we've used our luck.
You'll be right.
You'll be right. She'll be right, mate.
I do have a question.
Yes,
Apologies
Richard.
if it has been asked because I've been having to jump in and out of it. The ability to do a battery test, is that on our Australia software update latest versions yet? And if so, how do we engage
Yes and no. So I don't know about S's and X's, to be honest.
Okay.
On the 3s and Ys, I actually did a battery test a few days ago.
Yeah.
It isn't where it has been shown to be in the States, which is under your service section. It's not there at the moment, but it is under service mode. So you click on the icon. Let me just bring that up. Okay, so if you go into your car and you click on the menu button and then go to software, you'll see the name of your car. Not the name, it's the model type.
Yep.
You press and hold on that, and then a screen will come up that says enter code. And if you enter the code service, all lowercase, SERVICE, hit enter, you'll go into service mode. Just got to hit OK for when this little warning screen comes up. Then you can go into, I think it's battery or HV or electrical system or something. You go into the battery section and you can start a battery test.
Okay.
You need to, in order to start the test, you need to be below 20%.
Okay.
And in fact, the closer you are to zero, the better, because what the car has to do is actually take the battery down to zero. Actually, what you do first is you plug in. So you got to plug into a charger.
Yep.
Then you do this. The closer to zero, the better, because it's going to waste that energy anyway, and it takes time to waste it. And then it performs a battery test. It warns it can take up to 24 hours. I actually found, to my chagrin, it only takes, if you're on 11 kilowatts, it only takes about 5 or 6 hours. So
okay, we're on 7.5, so.
Oh yeah, or maybe a little bit. Oh yeah, maybe 10 hours, something like that.
Yeah.
So
okay, interesting. So plug it in, but don't start a charge. So it just has power available.
Oh
no,
look,
it would start charging, wouldn't it? Because it'd be below 50%.
Yeah, just start charging. Yeah, that's right. Just have it charging. I mean, you can have a quick look to see if you've got it at all, and if you do, that's great. If you don't, well, you don't.
Yeah, I'm up on site at the moment, but
yeah, no, that's cool.
So is this the new thing that's just been released in
No,
software?
So what's new in the software is, rather than having to use service mode to invoke this, you can do it straight from the normal menu item, rather than drilling into service mode, which should really be left to people servicing the car.
So this isn't something new. It's just more accessible for the average user. Gotcha.
So that's not to say that if your car didn't have any kind of battery test, that once the new software lands, that it now will. It's just moving it from only being available from service mode to being available in service mode and in the standard service menu item, which is this one just here, says service. So that's the change in software, but I just don't know whether the legacy S's and X's have got battery testing doodads in routines in them. Now, what the battery test does, I was slightly disappointed because it had. Oh, and by the way, it'll charge your car to 100%.
I was just going to ask that. Yeah.
A bit annoyed because my car must have finished at about 3 a.m. and I didn't get up until 7:30.
Yeah.
And then I had to go and drive the car around to run it down.
Yeah, of course.
But I think I might have made the mistake of unplugging it before I hopped in the car because I knew it had finished, and there was no indication that the test had completed or was successful or whatever. But I'm pretty sure it did work because the car's 100%, and I'm pretty sure my estimated full range on the car had reduced. So now my car says at 100%, it says 420 k's range. Whereas beforehand it was, I can't remember, possibly 500 k's or 480 or something. I can't exactly remember what it was. So, and that's one of the things it does. It will readjust its range estimator, or that it shows
that's
at
what I want,
whatever. Yeah. So it's more realistic.
Okay.
That's how it works.
I shall report back next week.
Yeah, no worries. Oh, and by the way, next week we get I'm pretty sure the earnings call would have occurred on the Wednesday morning, if I recall correctly. So that'll be good. That's next Wednesday at, I think it's 5:30 off the top of my head. And you can just go it'll be live streamed on X/Twitter, or you can just look up IR Tesla. So, and I think IR Tesla has 5:30 a.m. Yep, so you can just go and link there.
Already put it in there to wake up.
Yeah.
I've already taken the day off, so.
And if you want to use YouTube or something, you can just go to like Robbie Maurer's Tesla Daily podcast and have a look through there. He'll give a bit of commentary as well, and no doubt many others will as well. Alrighty, getting towards the end of the program. Anything we've forgotten? No, I think we're all good. All right, have we got any last drinks before we call this show done? Oh, okay, awesome. Alrighty, we'll get to go to bed slightly earlier. All right, so Pete, how would you outro an awesome show like this as if I didn't already know?
As always, stay safe, stay sustainable, and stay ahead of the curve.
The best way to do that is buy a Tesla, join TOCWA, and ask us anything about accelerating the world's transition to sustainable energy and abundance. Alrighty, have a wonderful week, everyone. And I really do look forward to seeing you on next week's episode of TOCWA's Ask Us Anything. Good night, everyone.
No.